So we can see that it will have things like this in it, which will be naturally in the stone.
Yeah.
So that's why they're gonna smooth it, and then the liquid will come in, and that's what we're gonna see.
I see.
As the,
yeah, okay.
the
yeah.
deeper species.
This is the unfinished sarcophagus of djedefhor in the Cairo Museum. And the good thing about unfinished work is what it can tell us about the stoneworking techniques of the ancients. There have been a number of very detailed studies about this box, and during the process of cutting what would become the lid from its base, it looks like there was an accident, and half of it broke off. The workers may have then decided to cut their losses, source a replacement lid from elsewhere, and at least finish off the body of the box. The striations on the cut made after the accident are deep and rough compared to the striations left by the initial attempt to remove the lid, suggesting that the workers weren't particularly bothered about quality anymore and just wanted to get the job done. However, from there on in, it becomes a little confusing. The saw mark left behind by the attempt to remove what remained of the broken lid is at an angle, as if the saw skewed off course. And this has provided those who believe in technologically advanced lost civilizations with conclusive proof that the ancients used power tools, because only a very high feed rate could explain how the saw deviated so fast and so far from its path without the workers immediately noticing. But if you look at the end of the box, there is something that could explain this angled saw mark. The box currently lies on its side, and a red line can be seen going from the bottom to the top, highlighted here for clarity. Red ochre was used by the Egyptians to mark out the area of a proposed engraving or direction of a cut before the work began. Here's another example found in the smashed second shrine at Elephantine Island. Now let's have a look at this area of the djedefhor sarcophagus again from a better angle. There's the highlighted red ochre marking outline, and if you look at the direction of the saw cut, it appears to be heading straight towards it. For whatever mysterious reason, it looks as though the workers could have deliberately been cutting at a slight angle. Either that or this is an astonishing coincidence, because the so-called skewed saw mark is the only feature on this box that the red ochre marking outline corresponds with. And there's something else. A wobbly uneven line can be seen extending from the skewed saw mark to the end of the box, as if it was standing upright when this cut was made and a primitive cutting fluid ran down the side ahead of the saw. But whatever this fluid or chemical was, it seems to have formed this line by actually displacing the material either side. It's ridged up, just like the kind of effect you'd see if you dragged your finger across the surface of wet putty or soft dough. And this line, as you can see, also appears to have a shiny finish, as if it's been polished. Now, a virtually indistinguishable shiny polished effect can be produced when ancient stonework has been exposed to enough tourists' fingertips. There are signs in some museums that prohibit the touching of artefacts because of this very gradual damage. And this is also why, sadly, you are actually discouraged from playing the musical pillars at the Vitala Temple in Hampi, India. Another very good example of this kind of archaeological wear and tear is the opening to the so-called air shaft in the King's Chamber of the Great Pyramid, which countless tourists have put their hands in. So a shiny polished surface doesn't necessarily mean that a chemical fluid was involved. However, a shiny polished surface with visible drip marks, that does suggest a chemical fluid. And this is exactly what you see in the Serapeum at Saqqara.
The liquid came down to the bottom of the lid and it formed drops. You see that?
Yeah.
This one is clear. And it has exactly, wherever this liquid moved, looks like it exactly gave it the same shiny surface,
Yeah.
like the lead. We see lots of these inner
Yes.
shapes, like this one, for
Yeah.
example, right here, which I believe was naturally in the stone. But how did it receive the polish? Because the polishing was not made by sand and water and a piece of rock, as what we were taught in the books.
Yeah.
But it was actually made by an alchemy formula,
Right.
a liquid of some kind that they used. That's why the polished surface reached all the deeper parts like this.
And what about those famous or infamous melted steps in the Temple of Hathor at Dendera? I've been there 3 times, and in fairness, it is difficult to tell for certain whether material has been added or taken away. Did some callous individual pour a bucketful of corrosive chemical down these steps? Maybe, but in this case it's far more likely that what we're looking at is just a botched repair. It's possible that these steps were already very badly worn, and some bright spark had the brilliant idea of pouring down a cement-like mix, in the hope that it would fill in the gaps and level up each step. Which it kind of does, but this is obviously not an improvement for anyone attempting to use these steps. And any shine or polished effect found here has no doubt been caused by countless tourist shoes sliding around and buffing them up. So, whilst there's no need to invoke lost ancient high technology or aliens with stone softening tools, it seems possible that the Egyptians did possess some kind of chemical fluid that may have assisted in the manufacture of some of these artifacts. At the very least, something that etched into and polished their surfaces and may also have doubled as a cutting fluid, as suggested by the mysterious wobbly line on djedefhor's sarcophagus. The word chemist is derived from alchemy, which is derived from Kemet, one of the more well-known former names for Egypt, and it could be that this chemical was once in widespread use and then simply went the way of Damascus steel or Greek fire. And no one knows how to make it anymore. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel.